After I hosted a community barbecue without inviting my neighbor, my children's bikes were stolen and my walls were egged. She knocked on my door and whispered, "Next time, remember who runs this block." I dismissed her, until I got a video from an unknown number showing her in my backyard with, "I'm Travis. I'm 39. I live in Elk Grove, California with my wife Dana and our 2 kids, Mark, 12, and Jessa, 10. I work in pest control. Dana works part-time at the school district. We're not flashy people. Just normal. Pay our bills, cut the grass, keep to ourselves unless someone needs a hand. We live in a quiet neighborhood. You know the kind, middle-class homes, decent schools, kids on scooters, flags on porches. People are friendly here. At least, most of them. 3 years ago, this woman named Monica Phelps moved in down the block. She's probably late 40s. Works in real estate, and she always lets you know it. Drives a black BMW. Walks around in high heels even on trash day. She acts like she owns the neighborhood. The first time I met her, she was already pushing a clipboard in my face about property value concerns. That's her thing. Constantly complaining. If someone leaves their trash bin out too long, Monica posts about it on the Facebook group. If a kid rides a bike on her sidewalk, she's out there yelling. My son Mark got chewed out by her once for stepping near her roses. I was done with her after that. We have an annual community barbecue every spring. It's something Dana and I helped start a couple years ago, just to get people together. Last year, we hosted it, and it went well. So we offered again this year. When we were putting together the list, Dana looked at me and said, "Are we inviting Monica?" I didn't even think. Nope. We didn't put her name on the invite list. Not by accident. I just didn't want her there. I knew if she came, she'd find something to criticize. The food, the kids, the setup. I didn't want to deal with her negativity. Dana didn't argue. The day of the barbecue was great. We had maybe 20 families come out. Kids were riding bikes up and down the street, burgers on the grill, people brought sides and drinks. One guy brought homemade cornbread that disappeared in 10 minutes. We set up a couple of pop-up tents, had coolers full of soda and beer. It felt like a real community again. At one point, Monica drove by real slow in her car. Didn't stop. Didn't wave. Just stared. Dana nudged me. There she goes. I shrugged it off. The next morning, I walked outside to get the paper, and froze. There were eggs everywhere. On the siding. On the windows. On the front steps. Even on our damn mailbox. And not just a few eggs, dozens. Someone really took their time. There were shells stuck in the flower beds and slime dripping from the porch lights. Dana came out behind me and just stared. You think it's her? I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Could be kids. Dana said. Kids don't usually egg houses on the side facing away from the street. She had a point. Whoever did it went all around the house. That meant they came onto the property. We spent hours cleaning it. I didn't call the cops. I figured it wasn't worth it. But something didn't sit right. Then 2 days later, the kids' bikes were gone. We keep them in the backyard, behind a locked gate. I checked the latch, it wasn't broken. But the chain we used to lock the bikes was snipped clean. Gone. Dana lost it. Mark had saved birthday money for his bike. Jessa cried for an hour. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, someone went into my backyard. Someone walked past my daughter's bedroom window to do it. And then Monica knocked. It was evening. Dana was upstairs putting the kids to bed. I was watching TV when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, and there she was. Monica. Standing there like she was selling something. Wearing a black blazer and lipstick too bright for 8 p.m. She leaned in close and whispered, "Next time, remember who runs this block." I stared at her. "Excuse me?" She smiled. "Just a heads up." Then she turned and walked off like nothing happened. I stood there with my fists clenched. I wanted to follow her. I wanted to scream. But Dana heard the whole thing from the stairs and told me to let it go. I didn't. 2 nights later, I got a text. No name. Just a number I didn't know. It came around midnight. The message had no words, just a video. It was grainy, like it was filmed on an old phone. But it showed a person walking through my backyard at night. Blonde hair. Thin build. She had bolt cutters. She went straight to the kids' bikes. Snipped the lock. Wheeled them out. Then she looked at the camera. She knew where it was. She looked straight into the lens and said, "Shouldn't have left me out." My blood ran cold. I showed Dana. She sat down, pale. "It's her," she said. I called the cops the next morning. They came out, took the report, watched the video. But the face wasn't fully clear. Her voice was quiet, but it matched. "You think it's enough to arrest her?" I asked. The officer gave me a look like he was tired. "Could be. But unless she confesses or you catch her in the act, probably not. Real estate agents can afford lawyers," I said. "So you're not even gonna talk to her?" He shrugged. "We can log it. That's about it." They didn't even knock on her door. That's when I knew. If I wanted to stop her, I'd have to do it myself. And believe me, I wasn't going to play nice anymore. After the cops shrugged it off, I didn't sleep much. I kept going over the video in my head. That smug voice. That smile. The way she looked into the camera like she wanted me to see it. She was telling me she could do anything and get away with it. I knew if I let this go, it wouldn't stop. Next time it might not be bikes or eggs. It could be our windows. Or worse, our dog. Or our kids. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed cameras. Not the cheap kind. I paid real money for motion-activated, night vision cameras with cloud backup. I covered every angle of our yard. Front, back, both sides. I even put one in the tree across from her house. I asked my buddy Eric to help me aim it right into her driveway. He owed me a favor. And I started keeping notes. Time she left. Who visited her. Patterns. I made a whole damn binder. I didn't just want her to stop. I wanted proof. I wanted her exposed. 2 weeks went by. No new incidents. I thought maybe the message got through. Maybe the cameras scared her. Then came the dead squirrel. One morning, Jessa ran inside crying. "Daddy, there's something on my bike seat!" I rushed out, and there it was. A dead squirrel. Cut open. Flies already swarming. It wasn't roadkill. It had been placed there. Dana was shaking. "That's a threat," she said. "That's not a prank. That's sick." We called the police again. They came out, took pictures, wrote another report. Same officer as last time. He looked uncomfortable. "You think it's her?" I asked. He said, "Hard to say." I said, "You know it's her." He didn't reply. Just told me to keep the footage and call again if anything escalated. Dana wanted to stay in a hotel. But I told her no. If we left, that's what Monica would want. Instead, I called my cousin Danny. He's not a cop, but he used to be a private investigator. He now works insurance fraud cases. I showed him the video. The squirrel. The notes I'd been keeping. He looked at me and said, "You want this lady gone?" I nodded. He said, "Then let's get dirty." Danny got to work fast. He started watching her house. Followed her car for a few days. Found out she wasn't working as many open houses as she claimed. Instead, she was stopping by this guy's house across town. Guy named Rick Holloway. Married. Not to her. He showed me photos. Her car parked outside Rick's place overnight. Multiple times. I said, "You think her husband knows?" Danny raised an eyebrow. "She doesn't have a husband. But Rick does. So now I had leverage. But I didn't use it. Not yet. Instead, I sent Monica a letter. Handwritten. No return address. It said, "We know what you did. And we know who you're doing it with. Stop messing with my family. Last warning." 3 days later, my mailbox was smashed in with a bat. No note. No video. But I knew. She wasn't scared. She was pissed. The same night, my camera in the tree caught something. A man, hoodie up, sneaking around our trash cans. He poured something on them. Then walked away. The next morning they reeked. Like rotten meat and piss. I checked the footage. You couldn't see his face, but you could see the car he got into, a black BMW. I called Danny. "I want this over," he said. "Then it's time to burn her down." That weekend, we drove out to Rick Holloway's house. I knocked on the door. A woman answered. Blonde, maybe in her 40s. Looked tired. Worn down. I asked, "You Dana Holloway?" She said yes. I told her I had something she needed to see. We sat in her living room while I showed her pictures. Videos. Dates. Times. Her husband with Monica. She didn't cry. She just stared. Then she asked for copies. Danny gave her a flash drive. 3 days later, Monica's house had a "for sale" sign in the yard. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. Because right before she packed up to move, something happened that changed everything. I got another text. This one had no video. Just a photo. It was from inside my house. Taken from our upstairs hallway. Someone had been inside. And I hadn't even known it. I stared at the photo for a long time. It showed our upstairs hallway, taken from just outside the kids' bathroom. You could see the open bedroom doors, Dana's laundry basket on the floor, and one of Jess's drawings taped to the wall. The photo had been taken at night. You could tell from the shadows and the way the hall light was the only thing on. I showed Dana. She went pale. "When was this taken?" I checked the timestamp, 1:12 a.m. 2 nights ago. We'd all been home. Asleep. Someone had broken in. I ran to the kids' rooms and checked every lock, every window, every door. Nothing was forced open. Nothing stolen. That scared me more than if they had taken something. Whoever did this wasn't there to rob us. They were sending a message. I downloaded every second of footage from that night. I spent hours going through it. I found something. At 12:47 a.m., the camera by the back gate blinked out for 4 minutes. Just a glitch, nothing recorded. Same with the side yard camera. When they came back on, everything looked normal. But someone had used that gap. I called the cops again. They came out, looked at the photo, took statements. But the officer was already half checked out before he left. "I'd suggest an alarm system," he said. "Cameras only do so much." I said, "You're not going to do anything about this?" He shrugged. "No forced entry. Could have been an old tenant with a key. Could be faked." Dana stood behind me, arms crossed. "Do you want someone to get hurt before you take it seriously?" He didn't answer. Just left. I called Danny. He said, "This isn't a prank anymore. It's personal." I asked him, "You think it was her?" He paused. "She doesn't strike me as the type to break in herself. But she might know someone who would." Danny dug deeper. He found something. Monica had a younger brother. Name's Kyle Phelps. 2 years out of jail. Petty theft. BNE charges. Last known address, Rancho Cordova. But guess what? He was listed as staying temporarily at her place. DMV records showed he'd registered a car there. I looked him up. Black hoodie in every photo I could find. Same build as the guy from the garbage footage. It made sense now. She was using him to do the dirty work. I decided it was time to turn the pressure up. We printed the hallway photo and stuck it in a manila envelope with a sticky note that said, "The cops may not care. But your clients will." Danny slid it under her front door. Next day, her "for sale" sign disappeared. Then the real estate company she worked for, Fletcher and Rowe, removed her profile from their website. And suddenly, her black BMW was gone. I thought maybe she got the message. I thought maybe she skipped town. But 2 nights later, it got worse. I came home from work around 7 p.m. Dana was at her sister's. The kids were at soccer practice. I pulled into the driveway and saw the side gate wide open. I knew I'd locked it. I walked slowly to the backyard. At first, I didn't see anything wrong. Then I looked closer at the garden bed near the back fence. There was something sticking out of the dirt. I walked over. It was a dead bird buried halfway, wings spread, its head missing. Next to it was a plastic baggie with a Polaroid photo inside. It was a picture of Jessa. At school. On the playground. Taken from a distance. I froze. This wasn't just intimidation anymore. This was a threat. And that changed everything. I stood there staring at that photo of my daughter, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold it. That was the moment everything changed. They crossed a line. A line you don't come back from. You threaten my family? You stalk my 10-year-old daughter at her school? I will bury you. I didn't tell Dana right away. I couldn't. She was already hanging on by a thread. The past month had made her jumpy, exhausted. We'd been fighting, too, about safety, about the cops, about whether to just move. But I was too far in now. I had to finish this. I called Danny and told him everything. I sent him the photo. He went dead silent for a minute. Then he said, "We burn her." We came up with a plan. First step, gather more evidence. Danny reached out to a guy he used to work with, a hacker named Reed. Not the criminal type, more the off-the-books kind who helps insurance adjusters track shady claims. Reed pulled Monica's phone records. Not hard since she used the same number for years. We got call logs between her and her brother Kyle. Dozens of late-night calls. Right around the time of the break-ins, the mailbox smashing, even the photo. Then Reed did something even better. He hacked into Monica's cloud backups. You know how some phones automatically upload media? Monica's did. He pulled every photo and video on it. And in those files we hit gold. Videos of her laughing while egging our house. A clip of Kyle riding off on Mark's bike. A selfie Monica took in our backyard during the barbecue. You could see the party in the background. And her middle finger in the foreground. She was proud of it all. I printed everything. I put it in a thick black binder. I made extra copies and stuck them in our fireproof safe. Then I mailed a copy to the Elk Grove Police Department, attention to the same officer who kept brushing me off. I included a letter detailing every time they ignored my reports. I signed it with my full name and CC, Elk Grove Tribune. Then I dropped another copy off at Monica's real estate office. Hand-delivered to the front desk. Reed helped me mail all the evidence anonymously to Fletcher and Rowe's board of directors. But the final piece was the most important. Reed found something else in her cloud backup. A voice recording. She must have made it by accident. It was her talking to Kyle. She said, and I quote, "If they don't want to play nice, then we'll make them scared. Put something on their porch, slash a tire, I don't care. Travis needs to learn I'm not someone you leave out." That was it. We took that recording and all the other evidence, and Danny walked it straight to a contact of his who worked in the DA's office. Within a week, they opened an investigation. A real one. And Monica? She had no idea. While that was going on, we didn't hear a peep from her. No dead animals, no photos, nothing. She went quiet. Too quiet. Then one afternoon, unmarked cars pulled up outside her house. She was arrested right there in front of her yard. Neighbors came out and watched as she screamed at the cops, saying it was all lies. They arrested Kyle too, picked him up at some cheap motel off the freeway. Both were charged with multiple misdemeanors and a few felonies: trespassing, stalking, conspiracy, destruction of property, and one very serious count, child endangerment, tied to the photo of Jessa. That last charge hit hard. It made the local paper. But the karma didn't stop there. Fletcher and Rowe released a public statement cutting all ties with Monica. They said her behavior was not only unethical, but dangerous and criminal. Her real estate license was suspended indefinitely. When the cops searched her home, they found even more, other files, folders about neighbors. Photos, printouts, notes. She had been tracking more than just me. I wasn't even her first target. Just the first to fight back. Other neighbors came forward. One couple had been dealing with slashed tires and weird anonymous threats for a year. Another guy found out Monica tried to get his dog declared dangerous with a fake complaint. She had made herself queen of the block through fear. Until I stood up. In court, she pleaded not guilty. Of course she did. But Kyle flipped on her. Said she planned everything. She used him to carry it out. She got 3 years. No bail. Kyle got 18 months, and probation after. Jail time. All over a barbecue invite. When the news broke, neighbors came by to thank us. Some cried. Some hugged Dana. One old lady brought over a pie. I wish I could say I felt great about it. Like I got this clean win. But the truth? I still check the locks 3 times a night. I still keep cameras running. I still walk Jessa to school when I can. This changed us. And maybe that's my karma. For leaving someone out and thinking it didn't matter. But Monica? She got what she deserved. 10 times over. She wanted to rule the block. Now she'll have to run the laundry room at County. And I hope every night she lies awake wondering how the guy who wasn't worth inviting burned her whole empire down.